Hey guys, good morning. Warren here. I'm sitting out on the porch. I'm trying to capture some pictures of a non-endemic bird here in Hawaii. It's called the Java sparrow, and it's pretty, but it's not from here. You guys want to see? Let's see if you can see. So I've got the setup here. Pups out there checking them out. So that's the setup. But yeah, you probably can't see them, but I'm going to share pictures with you if I do capture them though. But yeah. Hopefully I put you back in the right place. It's kind of rainy too, so not much else to do except chill on the porch and have Java and watch the Java sparrow. Here. I think I might have one here. Can't wait to share it with you guys. Hang on. All right. Can't wait to share those with you guys. Well, what do I want to talk about today? So I've come to an epiphany, a realization. I kind of want to be more like my younger brother. Whenever I go to him with like things that's on my mind, like just thinking about thoughts, he's like, what are you worried about that for? Big bro, don't worry about it. None of that stuff. And in some ways he's being cynical, and he needs to be serious about some things. But he doesn't take much seriously. And I'm coming to a realization that maybe I should be more like him, or actually just completely shift some of my perspectives and be like him. And I'm not talking about in the cynical way. I'm talking about actually, and I've done episodes about this topic before and what the Stoics would say about it, and how we can both question it and actually be a part of it. And it is just society, life. And I thought, I still want to question why things are the way they are, but I think the realization I'm really talking about, not that I ever did try to change anything. I mean, through my votes, yeah. But then there's that. But it's not like I was really trying to change the world, but just question some things, and maybe by questioning them and sharing them, as a collective, we all come to some kind of solution. And look, I'm not talking on a grand scale. I'm talking about just at the community level, you know? And part of the reason I came to the realization to just accept some things, because that's just the way they're gonna be. And I hate saying that so badly. But That's the realization I've come to. And here is why. I realize that I am a part of the problem, right? Shelter, food. I need it. We need it. What am I getting at? At the cost of forests being burnt down to plant more, overfishing to feed more, man-made erosions to make more so that I can have shelter, so that I can eat. So I kind of find that for us to be humans and be a society, we have to do some of these things. And instead of bashing my head against the wall of why are we doing them, I think the thing is to come to balance. And in today's environment, in today's society, that is hard to do. Like, you're talking about such divisive issues: fracking, drilling, wind farms, no wind farms, toxic batteries from wind farms that firefighters just let burn out because they're so toxic they don't fight them. So the trade-offs are, so you see where I'm going. Because of some of those trade-offs, I've just come to the realization that bashing my head against the wall is not the solution. That doesn't mean I'm going the cynical route and giving up on questioning why things are and why we knowingly take more than we need without putting anything back. And in some respects, that's because we can, right? Not every resource that we're using is renewable. Very few, as a matter of fact. But where we can, and look, this balance, right? We're not where we used to be when we used to clear cut forest. We're not there. And anyone who says that we are, and you know what? I'll speak for America. I'll look it up, but I don't think industrialized nations today are still clear cutting without some renewal process. Again, I'm going to look that up, but I want to go out on a limb and say I don't think that's the case. But so we're not where we used to be. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We're not there. We're better, but we still can do much better. And the epiphany requires some tough discussions, like all tough issues, right? Because we can say one of the control measures to not depleting our limited resources is population control. And then there's the discussion of who gives you the right to say someone shouldn't have children, and as many as they can afford. So there's so many trade-off conversations and arguments, but I think communally, if we all did what I'm doing, I think, and take stock of, honestly, how can you play a role? Because you can't save the world, right? like I said earlier, I'm not trying to and wasn't trying to, but we can do our small parts, like reduce our footprints, right? Maybe not do dishes 3 times a week. Maybe cut that down to twice. Trade-offs again, right? Me and my wife don't have children in our house, so we don't generate that much. But then someone would say, what about a family who has? I'll just speak for me. I get it. I'm not naive at all. And I think that's part of what some people get so passionate about these topics go through, because they're tough. They're tough. There are a lot of trade-offs and willingness, right? Because some people aren't willing to do some things. Like, I'll give you an example of here where I live, right? In Hawaii, there is a rail system now. It's still being built, almost complete. And I've argued, and there are others, to include locals, Hawaiians, who agree that culturally people like to drive, okay? For those who don't know, Oahu is relatively a very, very small island. And it is packed with cars. It is. Traffic here is horrible. It's horrible. Trade-offs, right? Paradise, traffic. But no, traffic is horrible. In steps the government to say, hey, maybe rail will ease that. And then others like myself scratching my head goes, really? The major highway here is, I think, between 33 and 36 miles from tip to tip, and that's the H1. And initially the rail was supposed to go from the west side of the island, from West Oahu, words, West Oahu, University of Hawaii campus into town, all the way to the east side campus. Initially, that was what was pitched. And I laughed at that because if you've been here and if you know the island, the east side up by the university is just not going to have it, all right? Let's just put it that way. They're not going to have the rail in their backyard. That got adjusted, and it's now stopping, I think, at just shy of the mall, or at the mall. So, long story short, it's not going where it initially said it was going to go, and from its use starting now, and I'm going to look that up because I want to, because it's being actively used now. And it's too early. It's too early to say, do an analysis and find out if it has eased traffic. But let me circle back to culturally. There are just certain things that sound like a good idea to some, to include me, and then to others, after you take that tactical pause, like we like to say in the Army, and think about it, you realize that it's probably not such a great idea, especially when you do a cost analysis, right? Culturally here, people love to drive. It's not a driving problem. It is a car problem. And as long as people love to drive and not necessarily care for carpooling, because that's another cultural communal thing here. There are a lot of families who live in one household. All of them, if they have a car. drives. Carpooling, it's here, they try. Van pools, they try. But culturally, people love to drive. And there are, again, a lot of arguments to be made in that: schedules, availability, convenience. Lots of trade-offs. And I've just come to a realization that some things are just going to be what they are because of who we are, right? As long as we need shelter, food, clothing, security, we're going to infringe on the natural environment. I just think we truly, genuinely need to find a balance. And I'm not touching the political side because that comes down to tax dollars and, of course, party affiliation and what you think your party's doing on behalf of your tax dollars. Again, a trade-off, right? So, but what we, Joe Citizen and Jane Citizen, can do, I think, is just, and we've heard it before, reduce our footprints. Genuinely just reduce our footprints without taking away from living, without taking away from having your job on, right? There was somewhere that had to be cleared for these coffee trees to grow. I get that. How do I give back to that? You could say drink less coffee or don't drink coffee at all. But again, is that going to happen? Is that realistic for everyone? Some people can quit coffee. Maybe the trade-off is I live about a mile straight line distance to the closest Walgreens. So maybe if I want to run up to the Walgreens instead of driving, ride my bike. That's a trade-off, right? For having my coffee. Just little things, but I've just come to an epiphany that instead of beating my head against the wall trying to find solutions to some of these really big issues, because they are. Sometimes we seem to, I'm more alluding to politicians now and groupthink. We tend to use things like false dilemmas, to get people worked up. And not in the way people should be worked up. I'm talking about the metacognition kind of worked up, thinking about thinking, right? And again, taking that tactical pause to slow my limbic system down and let my prefrontal cortex do the work, like limbic wants to react. Your side against my side. And the prefrontal said, hey, slow that down. They just have a different opinion. But people radicalize everything, and I'm of the ilk that says simplicity really works in problem solving. The Army has an 8-step formula for problem solving, and it's pretty effective. And interestingly enough, the first one is identifying the problem. And I think a lot of radicalization doesn't do that. It just pits you against me against you. Ooh, now we've got some doves too. You guys want to hang on? Let me try to capture these guys. Hang on, let's see if we can share it up. you have 3 guards on the fence. I can't wait to share those with you guys. They're pretty cool. But yeah, here on Oahu, that's just one example of the nuances and the non-drilled down version of how to look at these things. He's good intentions with the rail. Good intentions. And I wish him luck. But with the overruns in cost and continued maintenance of it and usage, which whenever I do see it, because I do see it sometimes while driving around, I'll just admit it looks really empty. And I wish that wasn't the case, honestly, for them and for citizens here and the tourists, because the traffic is just horrible. It really is. But that's because of us, right? It's a self-inflicted wound. But there's always a balance. And oh, by the way, the Stoics would have popped me over the head by now on me thinking that I had any solutions or that I should be overly concerned. And it's not that they weren't either. They were just very adamant and strict in embracing the dichotomy of control, right? Control, you're only in control of that which you put in motion, that which you are in control of, and everything else is just external forces that, unless you put them in motion, you can't control. And you say, Warren, oh, this is so easy to just sit there and talk and say that. And I get that it's easy to say, harder to do, but back to my younger brother, at the end of the day, if you truly can't effect or affect it, then why bother, right? And the cynics would say, see, now they win, Warren, because you've thrown up the towel, the white towel, and said, why bother? And again, let me just emphasize that I'm not saying give up on being informed and being critical thinkers and doing your part through the ballot box, because really, at the end of the day, if you want to affect anything, that is how you're going to do it outside of your own personal reduction in your footprint, like we talked about so far, right? And then there is that, because, politicians, as they say, do speak out of both sides of their mouths. They're interest groups that need to be made happy. So you listen to all the sides and you pick, and then, or you choose, and you go into it on the premise that this person will at least try very hard during their tenure to at least fulfill what you think is how things should be. And then they go in, and I hate using the word hope, right? But we hope that they do these things. And in the military, we will quickly tell you in the military, hope is not a course of action. All right? You make plans to include tentative and alternate plans and contingent plans, never on hope. But outside of the military and You say, Warren, be real. And I am. It's all we have, right? It is. So we go into it hoping that they do these things. And sometimes they do and they try. And sometimes, conveniently, they too find that they're beating their heads up against the wall. I don't want to keep you much longer, but that's why we have to find that balance, right? Because there's so many nuances, so many people to please. And as long as we all want what we want in pursuit of being happier, we're going to impact our environment and each other. And that's really important. I think I'll end there. Each other. Throughout all this, the impact we have on each other, both, or I should say, emotionally, physically, and then what we're leaving generationally. I think if we focus more on that, just go back to our humanity, everything else will come in balance. I think there was a robin, but it flew away. If I get it, I might find a way to share it though. But I think I have some good ones of the Java sparrow to share that with you. Kind of looks, to give you a hint, it kind of looks like a puffin or a paraffin. It's just pretty. But it's from India, India, the Java region. But it's here, like the rest of us, non-endemic visitors. Ooh, wait, Robin's back. Oh no, he went over there on the wall. Oh man. Yeah. He went on the wall instead of in the feeder. But anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around and listening to me rant about my paradigm shift. But yep, still gonna be engaged, still gonna remain informed, still gonna do my part. But I think I have embraced that because of the things, the creature comforts that I want in life, in pursuit of being happier and knowing that we can't go back to cave-like living. I'm just gonna slow it down, do my part, and keep enjoying a good cup of Java. So until our next conversation, you be good out there. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, right? That's part of the balance. I say it at the end of, I think, all the videos. And I mean that. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other so that we can have this. We can have this community and keep being healthier. Alright? So until next time, you be good. I'll see ya.